CF-30. You just gotta flip it over. Because you gotta put them back in at the end, it only goes in. But for a customer, it can be a pain. You don't have to take the keyboard off, but you have to move it out of the way, but it's easier if the keyboard's out. It's easier to take the keyboard in and out if you just unscrew that Bluetooth antenna, and you just gently push that up, get under it, pull it up. Sometimes it's easier with a flathead, just gently get under it. Plate off, the keyboard swings over, take the keyboard off. Push it back down like this, open the screen up like this. Start off by just placing it in place, firmly pushing it down. The thicker screw goes there, and just screw it in place. By the two longer but skinnier screws. And you just kind of, sometimes this little plastic piece here, it's in a way, so you kind of just have to push it over and then push this down at the same time. And there's a little plastic tab right in here that doesn't always go in right. You just gotta kind of push it in place and then push it down. And it should pop right into place like that one just did. Run the cable along here. This piece, which is the same piece as before, you slide it in there, slide it up against this, and just kind of like push down on it a little bit, and it'll pop back into place. then you open it up here, and you feed it through that little black piece there. Hold it in place. And then you have to flip this back over. You have to take this off here, but it can be difficult sometimes taking it off. Usually you have to put a lot more force to take this off. I've had it apart, so it's coming apart easily now. And pop this out, flip it back around, and back up. And now there's a hole right here that you feed this down into. Close this back up. And this cable now you have to install this piece, which is the single pass-through antenna. Do so. You don't have to remove this USB board, but it's often easier if you do. Gives you more room to work with. You just gently push that cable out. Take the screw off, and then the board comes right out. You need to install this. Place it down, push it in place, push that plate up, hold it up where you can see, make sure that the screws are the spot for the screws are lined up properly. Place the screws in place and hopefully they stay in place while you attempt to screw them in. Of course they won't stay in place. And I wouldn't tighten this one all the way until you get this one going, because if it's not lined up properly, you have to readjust it. You're going to have to loosen it anyways. Okay, now that that's in place, pull this back up, connect the wire here. You push it down until it clicks. You take the wire and you put it on the top connector here. And you just kind of gently push the wiring back down underneath where it belongs. You push that back into place. Take your screwdriver, put the screw back on. Then you put this plastic piece back on. If need be, you can apply two-sided tape or electrical tape as need be to hold it, to put it back in place properly. Sometimes it just sticks well on its own. Then you put this board back on. You just hold the cable back and gently put it in place. And then you grab the piece, the screw, and you screw it back into place. So the one screw, take the cable, push it back in, ensuring that it's firmly back in place. You're done on the bottom side. It's all wired up properly. You can flip this back over and proceed to put the machine back together. Taking this and placing it back in a spot, making sure not to pinch any of the cables. And you screw this back into place here. And close the machine for a moment. Put the screw back in the back. Open the front back up. And you put this back in its place. And there's just the one screw here that holds it in its spot. Then you need to put the keyboard back in. Just make sure that these little plastic pieces are pushed out. Don't push on it too hard. If you break it, that's a motherboard replacement. You gently push the cables back into place, one at a time, pushing the sliding pin back into place. And move on to the next one. Push it into place. Once that's done, you pull this up gently. This plate goes back on now. Take the keyboard off and put it back in. Just makes it easier if that's not in the way to put this back in. There's slots on the bottom of the CF-30 keyboard, so you have to push it down, and once it's nice and flat, you gently push this cable down. Gently push this forward. Sometimes you have to individually push the tabs in and push forward as you do so. Once it's seated in properly, you can put this back on. Then you take this, put this piece back on where it belongs. Put this back in place, put this back over, put the plate back into place, and proceed to put the plate back on. Other than that, you just pop the hard drive back in place. I had it facing the right way the first time. And then you just slide the battery back in place. And you're good to go. You now have your wireless WAN antenna installed.
Thanks for watching today. For more repair videos, click the link below. And remember, if you have a screwdriver, you can fix a computer.